Hello, hello. This is Yuri of Moving Sales Professionals and Let's Talk Moving podcast. And with me today, I got Oliver Barkway, the owner of Extra Mile Movers Limited in Norfolk, England. How you doing today, Oliver?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you for joining us. So,
Thank you.
how did you get started in the removals industry?
From school, then, a couple of blokes went to college. I ended up going to the local removal company. So Hamilton's big company around where we are, and I went there pretty much straight from college when I was about 16. A couple of other lads came with us as well. Did all the European stuff as well, so we've done quite a bit out there. Worked there for probably only like 8 months. Had quite a good time. I really did enjoy it. And then I was set to join the Navy anyway, so I just joined probably about 8 months after starting the removals, and then I was then gone for a bit, as you do. And then so my colleague, my partner Mason, he also joined the army about a year after I joined the Navy, and we was on a leave period over Christmas, and we actually went back to the company that we used to work for, and they asked us to go and do a trip up to Scotland. Happy days, so we done that. We went up north, and then we sort of an epiphany that we might as well do it out on our own. So we were giving it loads of ballpark numbers and stuff like that on the way up there and on the way down, thinking that we were going to be absolutely, rolling in it by the time we get to 25. But yeah, anyway, that then carried on, and we actually started in 2019. He was still serving, I was still serving, and we are doing the odd job here and there on leave. And then we actually established in the first part of 2020, and then it's sort of just been a snowball ever since, to be honest. And
Uh-huh.
that's how we got into it.
And now for a word from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com today to learn more. All right, great. Well, you answered my next question, why removals?
Why removals? I'll be honest, at the time, so although it's a lot of graft and stuff like that, but for a young lad, I mean, you're running around with boxes all day, and the money's actually pretty good if you're 16, 17, and that was a good factor to go. And also the travel as well. We did like traveling abroad. That was nice to do at a young age anyway. And yeah, and obviously we got to know the job, and it just we didn't know how to bricklay, we didn't know how to do electrics or anything like that. So picking up boxes seemed like the perfect thing to do.
Great. So you being in Norfolk, is there, would you say there's a lot of competition in Norfolk?
Yeah, yeah, there is definitely. Definitely a lot of established companies now around where we are, especially. There's probably probably two or three other young companies the same sort of age as us as well. So it is actually quite. There is a lot of other companies around here, but all different sizes. So we're all going at our own sort of pace.
Okay, so what makes you different?
Definitely going the extra mile. It's in the name, of course. Now we do like going above and beyond for our clients and stuff like that, and we try and modernize it as much as possible. Although not changing the actual industry itself, but changing little things along the way. And obviously we're quite young as well, which it may play to our, it might make it a little bit easier for us, a bit better. But that is definitely a bit of a difference that we have in than most competitors around our area.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly it's you have the blessing, a blessing of youth and the curse of youth all at the same time, right? Because
Exactly. Yeah.
like you don't have, in some cases, you have situations where, frankly, you don't know better.
Yeah.
In other cases, because you are more up and up with technology and modern things that are being done, maybe some of the things that you're doing, even though you're not, don't necessarily know that you're doing them, they're common sense to you because of the current day and age that some of the older movers that have been around for tiles simply don't do yet, or maybe will never do. Because
Yeah.
it's something that they're not used to doing it. They're used to doing it a certain way. And in some way, whatever way they're doing it could be antiquated, could be just simply old. Then it
Yeah.
doesn't work, doesn't apply in today's age,
Exactly. So
perhaps.
hopefully we brought something new. But at the same time, the curse of youth, sometimes especially back in the day when I looked even younger, like the clients weren't taking some of us seriously in that sort of sense. But it's changed now. We're slightly more established, so I think people actually believe in that we can actually do the job. You know what I mean? So
All right. That's great. That's great. So what is your goal this year?
this year, so we're pushing for the O license. I don't know. Are you familiar with the O license in USA?
Well, they don't have that here. So what they have in US is that you have the Department of Transportation. So you need to have your DOT number, Department of Transportation number. And then we also have a MC number, which basically you need in order to be able to cross state lines and do jobs in various states. Like if you just
Yeah,
have a DOT, you may be able to work in your specific state, but you may
yeah,
not be able to cross state lines because if you do and they catch you, you get a big fine.
yeah. There's a lot of factors in the UK anyway, that, from what I know. It's just so the O license is basically a massive long list of things that you need to have to be able to operate lorries essentially.
Hmm.
Because obviously right now we're operating in Luton vans, which isn't an issue, but it probably would make life a little bit easier if we did have an 18 tonner on the road or something like that. But there, so Mason, for instance, is doing his transport manager's course, which is then the same as what you said. I should imagine is where you just see over the whole fleet, if that makes sense.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today to get 100 free letters for your campaign. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Right. So if a
So
lorry, you're basically that's equivalent in US would be of like an 18-wheeler, where basically you can take a big load all throughout UK and I some places I guess there's does lorry is it too big to get on the ferry or does it fit? Some places you have to get on the ferry, right?
yeah, true. No, it's not that at all. It's just literally just operating a lorry. There's just certain legislations. That's why they just to tachograph stuff like that. And then loads of courses you've got to do as well, just to operate a lorry within a company. That's the problem. That that's a big stepping stone within a removal company, especially that's quite young.
Right. Well,
So
yeah, in US you have to obviously you have like you can have a regular driver license when you're driving like up to a 26-foot truck, even the 28, I
okay,
believe. The
okay,
28 is not something you're going to see very often. Usually it's 20,
yeah,
24, 26 are or smaller are standard operating vehicles. I mean, it's different. Like we don't have Luton van. It would be like the 24s,
yeah,
26s. I think the smallest is a 10, but you're not going to have too many 10-footers being operated by moving companies. So it's usually like 14, 16, 20, 24, 26, sometimes 28. 28 is very rare. Not a lot of companies have those. And then if you want to be able to have a 53-foot truck and trailer, which is your 18-wheeler, for that, you can't have a regular driver license. So you need to have a specific driver license. You need to go to school. You need to do all sorts of things to have that. So like a
yeah.
regular driver would not be able to operate that.
So the one up from the Luton van in the UK, you have to have a lorry license for class one or class two.
What's the biggest Luton van that you can have?
So the biggest Luton van that you can have on a driving license, so just anyone with a driving license, is 3.5 tons. So
Okay.
in cubic feet, that would be about 600 cubic feet.
Yeah. See, the 26-foot truck, and they could sometimes come with an overhead, like you have a attic that goes over the top of the cab. With the cab, can some of them can be as big as 2200 cubic feet.
Then also you've got a road train as well if you need to for a
Right. And
trailer.
an 18-wheeler, you're talking 4,000 cubic feet.
Yeah, which is mental. We can't fathom that. That
Right.
is a lot.
So I mean, obviously you're new to the industry, well, more or less young to the industry. Let's call it that way.
Yeah,
Not so much
yeah,
new anymore, right? So
yeah.
where do you think the industry is going to be going in the next 5 years? What are you seeing?
It's definitely going to go more socially. It's going to be who's doing the more funny stuff online. There's probably going to be a lot more regulation. I've heard in the grapevine that there's regulations coming in for those Luton vans. So, as we said a minute ago, you can operate on a normal driver's license, but they're going to bring something in, so you can't do that. So that might affect quite a lot of people. I don't think we're going to get taken over by robots anytime soon. I think we're pretty safe in the manpower sense. It's definitely going to move more online and less in person.
So would you say they're trying to, I mean, US is already heavily regulated as far as Department of Transportation, as far as moving goes.
Yeah.
Now, I know for a fact that uh, Canada is a lot less regulated, at least at this point. You guys are a lot less regulated in UK. So it sounds like there's more regulations are coming that they're trying to catch up with US to a degree.
Yeah, which is a shame, but obviously it's a government making money scheme, isn't it? So
Well, they got to make their money somewhere, somehow.
exactly. Yeah.
Unfortunately, at the end of the day, unfortunately, whatever regulations they make, whether it's in US or Canada or UK, you're going to be in a situation where those regulations are going to affect the common man that's trying to move,
Yeah.
because ultimately you're not going to want to observe those costs. And what that means is that the pricing to do a move is going to increase in UK just like it does everywhere else.
Yeah.
So how else are you going to do it? Otherwise, you're not going to be able to survive, because you got to pay if all the stuff goes up, costs or everything else, cost of living goes up, which means your movers need to make more money. You need to make more money. You got to pay for regulations, for licenses, for all this stuff. Same thing we have to deal with US, because there's definitely a lot of things that you got to pay for. Insurance alone is a big kicker.
Yeah, agreed. Overheads, mental.
So,
Yeah.
what would you recommend to a new company starting out?
Definitely have a base layer of knowledge about the actual job itself. Technically speaking, any guy can, get a van and start moving things with his mates, but you do need that understanding of what actually occurs. Especially with, I mean, you can learn most of it on the job, especially like the admin side as well. Definitely come up with a solid plan, 100%. I'd definitely start with some vehicles if you can, and I'd definitely have some experience first, and then after that, you can try your best and see where you get. But it's quite a simple business model in a way, but there is a lot of other things that go on with it. I'll just watch out for that. But
Yeah,
other than that,
ultimately, if you're trying to grow your company, whether it's moving or something else, you got to have hands-on knowledge, because at the end of the day,
yeah,
if you just, get a truck, drive on a job, do a job, if you don't know how
yeah,
to do the job, you're going to cause damage. If you cause
yeah,
damage, you're going to lose more money than you make. If you lose more money than you make, you're not going to be in business very long.
yeah,
So at the end of the day, I definitely, if this is the industry that you're trying to get into, if this is what you want to do, you definitely want to come out and work maybe for a bigger company, somewhere where you can really learn. And
yeah,
you want to pick a company that's successful, not the company that had that, like, you want to research the company first, make
yeah.
sure that they have a lot of good reviews and a lot of good things that people say about them, because that's who you want to learn from. You want to learn from the best. You don't want to learn from somebody that's at the bottom of the pile and they go out and just do, and have a few drinks afterwards, but they don't do a good job, because there's a lot of reviews out there. And while they're out there, they're working kind of, sort of, somewhat, if you're trying to make long-term living, you want to do it the right way. In
Agree.
US, we're definitely all, and you'll hear it on this podcast, we talk a lot and about keeping the people out of the industry that don't do things the right way, because ultimately they make those of us that do, they make us look bad and hurt our business and our trying to grow and trying to do things the right way. So ultimately you want to make sure that things are done right, and I'm sure in UK there's no difference there.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, your reputation can go down very quickly if you don't do the job right at the start. That is anyway. So you don't want to fail before you sort of get a move on, if that makes sense.
Well, it's always nice to see newcomers to the industry, whether it's here in US where we are, or whether it's across the pond in UK. But
Yeah,
regardless, we want to make it's always nice to see people that have a good goal and good direction. So that's great. That's great to see that from you.
awesome. Thank you.
So Oliver, thank you very much for joining us on this podcast. And as I always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you for joining Let's Talk Moving, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you all soon.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll be in touch anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. Bye bye now.